Welcome everybody to Real Weird Sickos. My name is Charles Kahn. I am the masked bastard. Brother, it's gonna be a wild one today. With me as always is our lovely podcast co-host, Jenna Dojangles.
Hey, my voice is a little fucked. I apologize in advance. Went to VidCon and got the coof. How y'all doing?
The coof? Oh no, anything but the coof. Yeah. It makes me want to go to Mars. You think they got the coof on Mars?
It's a good tie-in.
They got a lot of video gaming on Mars. I know that.
Yeah.
We got to get a cool gamer from Mars.
Welcome,
How's it
Art.
going, guys? Thanks for having me.
Hi,
of course.
Yeah, my voice is also messed up from VidCon, but it's not because I got COVID. I just talk too much.
My voice is messed up from screaming like Ren and Stimpy. I watched a couple episodes of Ren and Stimpy, and I've just been walking around doing those noises, and I feel like a maniac.
So we're this is like the week, well, not even the full week, like after VidCon. And if anybody didn't know, anybody didn't see, like Keem was tweeting about it. It was kind of a super spreader event, I guess. A lot of people that I know,
you might call it
came
COVID-con.
And a lot of people ended up getting sick, and some people didn't, some people did, and it was all by chance. And there were some people that like they willingly like hung out with people when they knew that they were like exposed to it, which is kind of shitty. But I didn't start feeling like kind of shitty until like Monday morning, and then I realized I was thinking because like the air conditioning in the house that we were staying in was like so cold. I was thinking it was because of like the AC, and then I was like, oh yeah, I was slightly in denial.
You would think that would be a crime to just purposely spread a harmful disease.
Oh yeah, especially
I think
if
it
you're
is
like international
for certain STDs and things like that. Like I know if you've got the HIV, you can't just go around and be like, oh hey, Art, let's just slip off and let's do our thing in the back room, pal.
Unless you're in California.
Unless you're in California. In California, if you go to the orgy and you've got the HIV, it's just all fine. Fun and games then.
You know what? If Art made a video on this, it would be like he had HIV. What would you title that, Art?
A video about what?
If a guy knowingly spread around like HIV, what would be a good title?
The killer tattoo. That's actually on my idea list of a video.
You know what? Okay, so if you
There's
guys don't know,
guys that have done it.
Like Art does, he's the thumbnail king. He's the title king. Like if you see something, you're obviously going to click on it. But I wanted to ask you: is there anything that's ever been like too much that you didn't? That you felt like it was going too far, a topic that you've looked at and you've ever researched?
Yeah, so in terms of topics, you have to be very careful about blacklist things. There's a running joke in the community that you don't talk about the Vegas shooter. Just because
really?
there was a leak of blacklisted subjects a couple of years ago on YouTube. Someone revealed it of this massive, not like a dossier, I guess, of just all the words. Yeah. And there was every single variation of the Vegas shooter you couldn't talk about. So that's a big no-no. So I try to stay away from conspiracy theory stuff because I don't want to risk it. It's just, I live my life now by, not pushing the envelope too much in ways that I know it could ruin me.
Yeah.
So I don't touch that stuff, even though I want to sometimes. Besides that, though, I'm pretty open to cover anything that is not just a banned no word in the YouTube space.
Yeah, you
I'm able
into
to
some like true crime stuff here and there.
Yeah. It's whatever I think could have an interesting title and thumbnail.
Yeah.
That's how I base my video subjects on, is what could I do for that title and thumbnail, and if I have a good idea, I'll make it work.
The titles, it's just everything is always. It's right down to the point, and that's why I've always just that's what makes it like so attractive, because like you know what you're getting when you click on it, like,
right? There's
immediately.
There's no farting
question
around. There's not 20 minutes of oh hey, let me tell you how my day was going, and then there was this girl there, and I talked to her, and she was a bitch, and it was the whole thing. And let me tell you about the time that the Tetris guy killed that guy.
They were minors, I think, was a really, really great one with Elmo, like the Elmo guy who like touched
Yeah, they were minors. They hurt children. There's so many good ones.
They called him gay. They called him gay as one of my newer favorites.
Yes, yeah. We so
Oh
there-
yeah, with
there's
the big arrow pointing at him.
No,
I don't think
there's
there's-
no.
no, that was
there's,
the-
Oh, there's not an
no
arrow on that one?
No arrow on that one. That was from the Chris Chan.
Yeah, I love the big arrows. I always have. I just something about a big cartoon arrow will always.
I started
make me giggle.
doing that. I started playing with that on my last one that I uploaded this week. I did like the big yellow letters and an arrow just to play around with it, but it didn't really matter that much. It just kind of depends. But like I'm so far removed from anything from the algorithm because I never uploaded. I'm really tiny, so it doesn't matter. But did play around with that a little bit. But speaking of the, they called him gay. So you did the Chris Chan documentary where you actually went to Reckersville. You went to his house. I mean, their house. Damn, I'm gonna have to.
The house.
It's
The hell
everyone
house.
understands. I've slipped up a lot of times. Just try your best, and no one really.
Because it's just been so many years that it's like I've been following this for so many years. Like I'm like so huge on the lore. So it's like
God, I've
you
been
were in
trying.
Reckersville. You went to their house, and I specifically did not ask you this when I saw you last week a few times because I wanted to save it for the podcast, but I need to know what the house smelled like.
Oh.
Everyone asks that, and it faintly smelled like dog piss.
Okay.
Oh.
Yeah.
So it wasn't too bad, but yeah, there was a very clear smell of animal urine in the premises.
God,
People also asked what Chris Chan smelled like, and I will say that Chris Chan actually smelled fine. No body odor or anything.
Wow.
interesting.
Maybe learn some hygiene. Maybe I think that was probably like an acquired thing. At least a little bit of like moderate hygiene. Maybe Chris learned that over the years. But like,
I think so. His room was her room was surprisingly clean, cluttered. Of course, there was a lot of stuff, but it was all pretty tidy. The floor was vacuumed. The bed was made. So maybe they knew that they were having company. But yeah, it was. It wasn't nearly as bad as a lot of people make it out on the internet. The hoarding situation probably was worse in years past before the fire, but it sounds like they've done better.
That's
since
right,
then.
because you were post-fire. How long was this before? Because it was like what, September of last year everything went down, or was that August?
Yeah, so I filmed the Chris Chan footage in person before COVID. So it was 2019
Oh,
New
wow.
Year's going into 2020. So I've been working on this for a long time. I basically said, I was at a point in my life then where I was like, I need to like do something. I need to make something like amazing. I really need to push myself.
And it actually really, really is, by the way.
Thank you. I
love
appreciate that.
It really
but-
is. Like you do those high quality videos, like you can tell, you can see the polish in it. You can see the work.
Yeah, we tried our best, me and my team, but I didn't really have a full idea of what the documentary was going to be when I went down there. I just figured, let me go down. I want some in real life footage of Chris Chan to incorporate in whatever video I'm making. And then it just turned into this massive odyssey of a 5-hour long documentary. We didn't even know if it was going to be broken into parts or one long piece. But over time, it just slowly developed. And then, Chris was arrested, and then things changed a bit after that. It kind of gave us a little bit more of a conclusion. And I went back to the footage after Chris was arrested, and I saw that in the footage he was talking about healing his mother through touch, and he like put his that's how. And then I found my ending then because he gets up and puts his arm on my shoulder. He puts his hand on my shoulder. Sorry, to heal me, and I was like, okay, he puts his hand on my shoulder right before he takes it off. We cut to black, let the credits roll, play the music. Yeah. And I think it worked really well.
That was haunting. I mean, It was like, what was your initial reaction to the news? Knowing that you filmed all of this stuff, like what was your initial thought? Like, oh shit, like
I was in shock, but also, and the more I thought about, the more I said, well, anything's possible with Chris Chan. So why should I have doubted that this was a possibility? And now you could look back, and we found some stuff. We incorporated a little bit of foreshadowing where Chris posted a Facebook post talking about incest with a mother and daughter and things like that. And he incorporated the in his pony fan fiction things
we
about
have
it.
all this. We have all this hindsight, and then you look at the stuff that Barb did too, talking about like I can't remember. It was probably one of the earlier like Geno Samuel parts where Chris was talking to one of the trolls talking about how mom gets really jealous. So when you go back and you look at the older stuff and you compare it to everything that's going on now, there's like shit that makes sense, and you're just like everything starts clicking in like this really weird way where you're like, oh my god, how did we not know?
Yeah, there was also a lot of stuff hinting at the transition.
Oh, big time.
Before.
Yeah.
So just I purposely said, okay, whatever because when we made the documentary, the goal was, okay, Down the Rabbit Holes video, the Satchmo documentary, those ones, they're too short. They're only like an hour and a half or so.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
And then you have Geno, where it's 70 hours long or something. It'll probably be by the end of it.
And still going, because Geno's only on what, like 2018? Like we still have, we have like 4 more years to go.
I think he just got to the too many games situation. So there's so much more he has to cover. And I feel like he's slowed it down over time. He started off a little faster paced, but now that it's getting further in, I think you might see the end coming. So he's now focusing in on every single Twitter drama argument that Chris ever had.
Yeah.
So
all the eBay listings and shit. Yeah.
It's so much. And I basically wanted to do the Goldilocks of not too short, not too long. 5 hours covers the entire story in enough depth where you're not missing anything.
It up very, very, very nicely, because I'm extremely picky when it comes to all the Chris Chan lore, because I've been following it for so many years. So when it's done well, it's always super appreciated, like how you wrap it up. And and how you ended it was just like, I got chills. I was like, oh God.
Yeah. And it was one of those last minute improvises that we also did was we end the documentary before it cuts back to me talking with Chris on the gazebo about healing his mom through touch. I originally had an illustration done by Top Drawer Art. I recommend everyone check him out on Twitter. He did an amazing job on the illustrations.
Oh God, the art's so good. Oh, I love it. Yes, go on.
It's perfect. But we started off the documentary. One of the first pieces we show is when Chris was locked up in a closet as a kid. And then I said, wait a minute, let's make one last piece of art right for the very end now with the updated news. And we cut from him in a closet locked up as a kid to him locked up in a jail cell as an adult. And I think that also, on top of the cut to black at the end with him healing me, it really gave a conclusion to the documentary that I did not have before the most recent saga. Which is kind of messed up to say.
I just wonder, where's it go after this? Does Chris Chan somehow get out of his trouble, or do they go to jail or a psych ward for the next 5 years, 10 years?
They know what to do with them right now.
Yeah, I don't think society has never known what to do with Chris Chan.
And especially in
Chris
a state
Chan
like
has
Virginia.
always been like this weird character that I've tried like hell to avoid it. Like I don't want to know. Like the Chris Chan story has always disturbed me. There's somebody out there that doesn't know. It's
honestly
the worst
believe...
trolling ever. I think that this poor weird dude has been harassed and hurt and talked to and schemed and scammed and all sorts of craziness.
And his parents, their parents were old enough to the point where they just kind of didn't want to deal, because it's like they had both had like children before and families, and I think back then they didn't know as much about the spectrum, and then there was definitely things with like the child psychologist that I totally believe happened at like everything. Like I actually believe Chris to certain degrees about their past and what happened to them, like when they were at that what was that center called that he was getting sent to as a kid? I can't remember what it was called, but I believe shit actually did happen there. So you kind of like, when you sit there and you dissect everything, you kind of think like, where did it go wrong? But then there's that other side of the coin with Chris, where Chris is extremely selfish and manipulative at the same time. So you kind of have to decipher like what's kind of going on with that, because Chris will literally say anything to get what they want. When they want to go somewhere and they want money, they want to buy a new Transformer, they want new Legos, they want the latest console, Chris will do anything. So, and if
like a little kid.
Yeah, so it's really difficult to know like where everything went wrong because it's too much. And Chris,
what does society do with somebody like that?
They and especially in a state like Virginia, like I said,
like it feels like they just
idea.
threw Chris Chan out into the world. Like, oh
they don't have a clue. Like you could tell that when after they had like the first like hearing, they have no idea what to do with them. I can pretty much guarantee you that Barb will probably remain in like a nursing facility probably for the rest of her life.
I heard Barb was back at the house at some point.
Is she really?
What?
I heard some claim that they saw her driving again.
Oh my! She should not be driving.
Yeah, I don't know the details. Maybe I'm incorrect about that. Someone did tell me it. I haven't been keeping too up to date.
Thought about making the pilgrimage myself up to Rutgersville at some point. Because it's kind of like it's that internet pilgrimage that people feel like they have to take, you know?
Yeah. Well, be careful because this didn't make the documentary because we didn't have good footage of it, and we also didn't really figure out a place to put it. We were waiting outside of the house the one day, waiting for Kopitz, our YouTube contact, with Chris Chan to come, and so we could go in together. And we just hear yelling outside the car, and then we get out. And this neighbor's like, "Are you the goddamn trolls?"
Oh God!
I swear, put that camera down, and I'll kick your ass. And he's like,
shit.
He's flipping out at us, and we have to explain to him, no, we're invited here, we're allowed here, it's all good. Chris Chan knows we're coming, and eventually Chris Chan comes out and de-escalates the situation by saying, "Oh yeah, I know them." And then the guy's like, "Well, sorry, sir. I mean, ma'am. Yeah, I'll go back inside."
Well, there's been so much trolling of this poor dude, and I still feel sympathy for him because it is a special needs person. I mean, even if they committed a heinous crime, like
there were some of those things where it's like when his parents had to have known it was a troll. Like the what's her name?
No,
that
they
met him
don't.
Up at the
They
mall.
don't.
But they because some of them pulled it off so well. Like the one that they met at the Chick-fil-A at the mall, and the dad was there. Bob was there, and then they ended up having like this long talk, and Bob did say something along the lines of, "Are you sure you're not one of them people just playing around with him? You know, you're not joking around." And she was like, "Oh, no. And nobody understood because these trolls were so committed. They were so committed to the bit. I mean, this is why Kiwi Farms literally exists. I mean, there's a whole like
to try to document this character's life.
Well,
and other characters like him.
As far as Chris, she is,
or she, I guess.
It's hard. I know.
It's Chris
so
Chan, but they became Christina.
For so many years, it's one of these things where,
like, I want to be nice. I don't want to hurt anybody's feelings and misgender. I know you do, but I have to say
Charles is a sweet boy. I know, but
no one will get upset. That's what I've learned.
Several people will. I'm
sure.
You'd
be surprised as long as you're not purposely just saying, "Oh no, it's a man." I've never seen anyone actually get angry about the Chris Chan stuff. I think most people understand that it's very confusing and also. A lot of people
especially especially if you've been following it for a number of years. It's like been following it since like 2009. It's been a really long time.
Oh, it's been longer than that. It's had
that's how long I've been following it.
I'm going to say 2004, 2005, like going back to the Something Awful days is when I first heard of Chris Chan.
I was more like senior in high school, so that was like 2009.
So those guys, they used to always pick somebody that would have like weird web comics and things like that to just to say like, "Hey, look at this weirdo. Let's all go sign the guest book and write crazy stuff."
And look how Something Awful like ended. Look at what happened this year.
Yeah,
look what happened this year already. It's crazy. Yeah. But Chris
Chan, he was originally discovered in 2007 by something awful, I believe. So that was, I think I found out about him in 2009, and I was a freshman in high school.
And picked up really, really quickly. And I'm kind of glad that I was able to at least like cop a medallion. I think probably one of the last runs that Chris did on Etsy.
Oh.
That's worth some money now.
It is. I think like on eBay there's a couple that are going for like 500, but I'm probably never gonna part with it.
Yeah, fair enough.
What if it starts to go, all right, what's worth more in 25 years? Chris Chan medallion, Shadowless Charizard.
I don't know. It depends on what happens to Chris, I honestly believe.
How much is a shadowless Charizard worth now?
I want to say those are going for a few thousand, maybe like 5 or 10.
That will probably go for more. But here's the problem with this: is that I have the Etsy receipt, but Chris stopped doing certificates of authenticity.
Oh.
Everything was just hastily thrown in this package because this is like Art doesn't know. This is how I found out about it. So I get a message from Belle Delphine one day, and she was like, I'm so excited. I just ordered this, and I feel like you're the only one that would like appreciate this. And I was like, holy shit, I didn't know Chris was doing that again. I didn't know that like she had opened the Etsy shop and she was redoing the medallion. So I'm like, let me go order one. And I got mine way before she did, and mine looks like a pretty standard medallion. I don't know what Chris used for the one that she ended up getting because it doesn't even look like Model Magic or anything. It looks like some clear, weird, it is really hastily painted. Like it looked like it was super rushed out. But Chris stopped doing, certificates of authenticity. So I was like, great, if I ever really want to sell it, it doesn't have like Chris's handwriting. I mean, that's part of the reason why I wanted it, but it was like, I still have the handwriting on like the envelope. So that's fine. That was good enough for me just to have the handwriting,
Such a weird piece of like, memorabilia. Not quite murderabilia, but certainly like a crime, like memento at this point. Yeah, it's pretty close.
Yeah. That's one of the most well-documented people in history. I don't even want to just say in internet history. I just want to say like in history. Nobody has been meticulously from like day-to-day activity been so documented before and put out there, like everything that Chris does is put out there, from like what they bid on eBay and what they said on Facebook. Like everything is there forever. Like Chris's stuff is there forever.
You saying that makes me wonder if in the future somebody really does do the Truman Show thing where it's just we watch a person from being a baby born to when they eventually go to jail for what they do to their own mother, and just the saga of A to B to C, like we have with Chris Chan. And it's one of those car crashes that I try desperately. Like anytime somebody mentions like I don't want to hear, please don't tell me. Oh God, Jesus, God, no, not more Chris Chan stuff, please. And then I instantly got to go, well, what do you do now? What's going on now?
Yeah.
I just got to know, because it's going to be crazy. It's always going to be crazy. It's always going to be the most insane thing that anyone's ever done.
The only thing that we know right now is Chris is, still in jail, and
I hope they get help.
They lost a lot of weight.
Yeah, well, I mean, you're stuck on a prison diet of a certain amount of food. They'll give you the rations, rations, but they'll
McDonald's.
Just give you. Yeah, they'll base your diet off of 2,000 calories a day or something like that in prison. So you're basically forced to. So
if he's in like
lose weight.
If they're in the county lockup, I think it depends on like different states. They have what do they call that? Commissary, something like that.
Yeah,
where
you need money for commissary.
The commissary, where you can go and buy like ramen and things like that.
I would have thought that like Quickville people would have like donated to that, but they've been rather quiet since then.
Yeah.
It's possible people have been getting some artwork out of Chris from prison, so maybe someone tried, but I'd imagine that the prisons are on high alert of people calling up about Christine, so they might not just be allowing anyone to add money to the commissary for her. I really don't know.
I swore that there were laws now about people like criminals selling stuff from prison. So I want to say that started around the time Gacy was painting paintings and selling them.
It's a good
sounds
question.
Right.
I'd argue. Well, here's the thing: Christine is not in a federal prison, so it would be Virginia's laws. Yeah. So unless it's so I don't know if that would even be on the books. And also, even if it was, it would require somebody to care that Christine was drawing pictures on notebook paper and sending them to weirdos on the internet. Just for some commissary money.
Yeah. Do you think, what I think could happen if I have like this feeling Chris isn't going to be locked up for very long.
I mean, how long could they? What is the maximum sentence? Like 3 to 5?
They don't know.
2 years.
I
2
think
years
that
for what
she
they
may
did?
not even do that, depending. Like a lot of states. I mean, I come from California. They want to early release people as much as they can because like shit's like overflowing. I don't know what it's like in Virginia, but I mean, I could
Who's going
imagine.
to take care of them when they get out
Well,
of the
that's
joint?
the thing.
Are
I
they
think
just
that
let
there
loose into the
could
world?
be. I think what could happen and what could happen in California. What would happen in California is somebody in that kind of mental state with the history that Chris has. You would be you would have a state conservator. So somebody would be appointed to you to be your conservator. It's state appointed. It's not somebody that you know. And they make sure that they are, that they have a roof over their head, that they have food, and that their medical care is taken care of.
So is that like a social worker kind of deal, like some other probation kind of thing? Like the guy they come in and check them?
That's exactly what it is. I mean, and this is just California because I haven't even looked into it in Virginia. Like people will go ahead and like take care of this person because they're a social worker that's appointed to be the conservator of because they don't have anybody else. Now, depending on how long that could go for the rest of Chris's life, but unless they can find housing, because if you have a state conservator, then that person has to be taken care of. They can't be homeless, nothing like that. So if that happens, Chris is never going to be homeless, but it's going to come to a certain point, which I would imagine right now, I would think maybe Barb probably does have a conservatorship unless they've deemed her to be able to, safely make decisions on her own. And, who knows what that is because, for several years, Barb's looked really, really confused in those videos. And like I said, like I've been a nurse for 9 years and I know what the beginning stages of like Alzheimer's dementia looks like. And I think she's probably already past the point of the beginning stages, depending on how fast like she's progressed. So, I mean, there's a lot there, but there's a possibility, depending on what the state's laws are, she could probably, they could probably end up in the same house together again.
Oh,
who knows? Like crazier shit has happened because if they deem Barb okay to make decisions for herself in some capacity, and she says that she wants her daughter back home, it could happen. And then Chris could, I would kind of like to see like the jerk up like jailhouse like comics though. Like I'm not gonna lie, I think that would be fun as fuck to see.
Yeah, but
Jenna, you and your Schadenfreude.
the thing is, Chris Chan hasn't really drawn any comics in years.
Yeah, that's true.
I want it. Chris Chan has gotten increasingly lazy as time has gone on.
Oh, it went from trying to actually sell content to I'm going to BronyCon, just give me money.
Well, yeah, and Null tried their best to get Chris to draw things and keep that going. Because here's the thing: if Chris Chan was able to and could and was staying focused, they could make six figures just off commissions.
Absolutely.
I bet you
Done
they probably
correctly.
could. They're infamous enough. I wouldn't be surprised if one of these comic book companies, like a Slave Labor Graphics or a IDW, Dynamite, like one of the smaller ones, was like, "Oh yeah, we'll publish something from Chris. We're outlaw enough to do that."
Yeah, but there's all the copyright problems. That's the thing.
That's very
it has to be some other character from Sonic 2.
If you think that you're going to get Chris to let go of Sonic 2, you're like sorely mistaken, because half of the reason why Chris couldn't really make a living because Chris wasn't willing to let go of some of the stuff that Chris should have let go of, because there was like a lot of pride there, which I understand. He, growing up probably felt a lot of pride because his parents did encourage, especially Bob, like did encourage Sonichu. Like, I think that was like a letter that he wrote to Chris at some point saying like, "Oh, you keep doing what you're doing with Sonichu." So that's like a dog with a bone. So trying to get around a copyright and telling Chris like this is fucking copyrighted, I don't think that was ever going to happen,
My father has much experience with patent law.
As he would say.
And then poor Bob, like all of the stuff that he was part of the hoarding problem too, but like all the the stamps and the record collection that just that got damaged, and then Chris was just selling it on eBay. probably didn't know all the worth. Like, I think Chris lowballed a lot of his dad's shit that was like worth money, but then he would like overestimate like his own art.
Well, no. The even better example of this, he underestimated the value of some of the Bob's stuff, and then he went and tried to sell his pornographic DVD collection for like the price he paid for it.
Oh.
God. Like, that's when Chris was like getting stuff like from Amazon like every other day. Like, was getting sex toys all the time. Like, was
Adam and
spending
Eve.
disability money on sex toys. That was a good
Adam
arc.
and Eve made a lot of money off Chris Chan. I was almost tempted to get a sponsored message from Adam and Eve for the Chris Chan documentary, but I decided against it. But I was about to go and like try to get it. I was just like, nah, it's just it.
I wonder if
it's
there's
not what I'm
somebody
going
at
for.
that
with
company.
some proper consultation, maybe back like 6 years ago, with some proper consultation, maybe a good editor to structure a video, Chris probably could have gotten sponsored like themselves. You know?
Yeah, if someone was there just shooting the videos. But the thing is, Chris Chan, it's only interesting if things are going wrong. And
Yeah,
if
that's
Chris
true.
had his act together at any point, then people would lose interest. I think that's the catch-22 with all lolcows.
Yeah.
Or a lot of them at least.
It's them being ornery. That's what.
Yeah.
That's the part that people find fascinating.
Yeah, so if Wings of Redemption yet tomorrow got his act together, you know, had
Nobody
the right
wants
balance
to
of
see
medication,
normal
got therapy,
Wings. Yeah.
and then I'm just a normally adjusted Call of Duty player on the internet. His views
Nobody
would just
wants that.
drop to nothing.
Yeah, he
No,
has
people-
to stay angry. He has to stay
nobody
bitter.
would watch his streams because he's not having his mods like literally ban everybody. Like, nobody wants to see normal. You're right. And I think kind of the same goes for like Boogie. Like, I think
I wonder if that's just where
culture.
culture's going.
The thing is
If
that you
people
didn't
just
used to
want
be
the
that way
freak
with
show.
Boogie. Boogie got views without being a lolcow at one point. It's just he's lost the momentum that he had back in the day, and his thumbnails just are really bad now.
His views are atrocious now.
Is he
They're
even doing
awful.
video game content anymore?
Hey,
He brought back Francis.
back
Well, that's
he always
that's something.
Boogie always talked about Francis being what got him views, but I remember back in 2015, 2016, whenever he made a video of his opinion on YouTube drama, those got a bunch of views.
They
Those were
did.
really good.
They
Yeah.
did.
And then at one point, I think it was Matthew Santoro
Mhm.
talked to him and like said, "Oh, that hurt my feelings when you talked about me."
Yep.
And then he apologized and stopped doing it. And it's like,
And
dude,
then
don't
he
listen
fence
to
rode,
Matthew
and then he
Santoro.
fence rode ever since. And I think part of the problem with him right now is that he's trying too hard. I don't want to say woke because I think
It feels like he's one step behind woke.
It's not the word. I think what he's doing is that he's trying to pat into a new audience because for some people that's worked. You know, that's worked for H3. It's worked for streamers that I've known that, you know, they used to be a little bit edgier. That whole audience has died off or they're going or they're gone. So he wants to try to garner somebody new. So he's playing around with these tweets that are, I could tell you they're probably not really his opinion, but he just wants to sound like, you know, he's cool and he's hip and he's with it. And I think that's to me, I think that's what he's been trying to do. But he did bring back Francis recently, and it's
I hope
bad.
he brings back his redneck character too. His
You
like
mean- you
weird
mean,
accent.
You mean himself? No, I'm kidding.
Right, Boogie 1488, that guy.
Oh,
He brings
jeez.
that character out.
Yeah, I remember he had a couple characters.
God.
None of them really did the numbers that Francis did. But Francis was good for a while because a lot of the people thought that Francis was real. Like that was kind of when he was getting a lot of views, when there was a bunch of little kids watching it and they thought, yeah, this is really just a fat guy freaking out over the new
Francis
PlayStation.
Time.
See, that would
Yeah,
be cool
he
if
broke
he
a
could
TV.
do.
A month ago, he uploaded an Elden Ring video where like he was throwing shit at the TV and he broke a TV. And it just was so awkward.
If Boogie could do like a Sacha
It's
Baron
bad.
Cohen thing, and with the Francis character of I'm Francis and this is my life and I'm just this crazy maniac, and somehow tie it in with like a little story like the Jackass prank movies they've been doing with the old man character.
Mhm.
Like that kind of thing where
The
it's
bad grandpa.
bad
Yeah.
grandpa, yeah.
Yeah,
Where
yeah.
it's Francis and we all watching it know it's at work, that it's a joke, but he's going into situations where people are not sure that they don't know it's a character. The Eric Andre did something like that for Netflix. I watched the movie he did. It was like prank
That
stuff
was a
like
good
that.
movie. It was a good movie. I watched it. It was pretty good.
Yeah, I'm looking at Boogie's views right now. Even he's like talking about the boxing stuff on his channel, and it's not getting more views than him just covering Johnny Depp or the Act Man Quantum TV situation. It's all kind of getting around the same amount of views, talking about other people's drama and him doing drama himself. I would say if he got into boxing and he actually went through with a boxing match, he hired a trainer to just follow him around. They filmed the entire thing. And
he had it offered to him.
That would
I
be
think
interesting.
And he turned it down.
Wait, he's not boxing Ethan Ralph?
Well, what happened was when he was still going to box Sam Hyde, somebody offered to pay for a trainer, to pay for a camera crew.
Yeah, but Sam Hyde would murder him.
Totally. Here's the thing that I want to preface. Like he was offered by another YouTuber, hey, I will pay for a camera crew. I will pay for a nutritionist. I will pay for a trainer. We can get your channel back, like kind of going again. And Boogie said, let me think about it, which
That's
totally,
no. That means no.
Exactly. And I told this person they were going to turn it down. And the thing about it is that I knew from the beginning of this, Boogie has no intentions on actually fighting. Because number one, he knows that he's going to get absolutely fucking murdered, especially by
against
Sam
Ethan Ralph.
Hyde. Even maybe he has a chance against Ethan because
I
seen
know.
so many videos of him getting his ass kicked. So who knows? But then, I don't think that Boogie ever had an intention of actually fighting. And if it's an official event, you have to have there has
medical
to be
clearance.
there's like a board and everything, and there has to be medical clearance by a licensed certified physician saying that these people are fit to fight, and they're not about to put their whole practice on the line for somebody that's going to die in the fucking ring.
Yeah.
He's never going to pass any kind of physical. He's 48 years old. He has hyperlymphedema to his lower extremities. He probably has some heart disease, some blood pressure, some joint problems. There ain't no way in hell anybody's ever clearing him to fight.
I tell you how they'll do it, Jen.
Okay, but he did release a video saying that he did go to the doctor and the doctor told him he could fight, but I don't believe that. I don't
tell you how we get
any
Boogie in the ring.
physician in their right mind
We
would
get
tell
the
them
most
that they can
unhealthy, worst, I'm talking my 600-pound life people. Get all them onto a boat. Yeah, Nikocado Avocado. That'd be a great guy
would
for a
beat his
boxing
ass.
match.
I think
I guarantee you that.
Could beat
you
his
want to talk
ass.
about a guy who will box? I bet you that guy would box.
He
For
win.
the right amount
We
of money.
put him on a boat.
Yeah, it has to be the right
Sail
amount of
him
money.
out.
Exactly.
You sail him out into international waters where there is no law, and that's where you film the boxing match.
Yeah, but but you know what? There's going to be, especially if there's going to be something like death, I don't even think that would fly, because I honestly believe
Is it illegal to die in a boxing match in international waters?
Who's ever paying him? He could sue. Somebody could
Well,
sue.
if everyone signs, it would be somewhere where dueling's allowed legally.
Oh, yeah, duel law. I didn't even
Dueling's
consider
allowed
duels.
in some places still, as far as I know.
Man, there's a lot of guys I'd like to duel. Oh, man.
Yeah, so I don't know. I think that if Boogie agreed to fight Ethan Ralph and then he got a trainer and the trainer and dietitian followed him around 24/7 with a camera crew, they filmed that, had it edited up to compelling content. It forced him to lose another 100 pounds. I mean, there's no doubt if he had someone following around nonstop,
absolutely.
So he'd lose another 100. I mean, he'd actually get into, I'm not going to say great shape because he's 48 years old. But
have you seen there's a fella who was on My Name is Earl, the Big Brother character.
Yeah.
That guy has gotten into tremendous shape.
He's probably around the same age too as Boogie.
He's got to be close.
You know what? No, he's a devout Scientologist. That's why Xenu did it, Charles. Not the
no,
same thing.
no.
Not
You're
the
thinking
same
of
thing.
Okay,
You're thinking of the other guy from My Name is
clear,
Earl.
You got to go clear, okay? This is a clear podcast, okay? We're here, we're clear, get used to it.
Should we change the name?
What, clear weird sickos?
To the Clear Podcast. No, just the Clear Podcast.
Yeah, we're a bunch of clears.
We're going to get sued. David Miscavige is going to come and fucking like suicide. No, but seriously, he would. Boogie, if he got followed around and this was like a rigorous thing, Boogie would lose like 100 pounds in like 3 months.
I'd watch
Easy.
I'd watch it. I'd watch that documentary. That sounds good.
I mean, that might be a little too fast if we're just going for full health, but yeah, at least in 3 months, 60 pounds, no problem whatsoever.
If he
Get him into
went
fighting
hardcore, if he went hardcore and exercised like 5 days out of the week,
well, just getting the diet.
It's just a calorie deficit. That's all it
diet
takes.
down. Get
all
the
it does,
food down.
like,
Cut out the garbage.
They
foods.
would like up his protein. They would knock down his carbs, and that would be that. And he would just it would melt off of him.
I mean, I lost 50 pounds. I could go down there and easily, bring him to the gym and feed him, and he'd lose the weight. It's just a matter of.
You would feed him.
He doesn't want to do it because
I could cook for Boogie
down.
and manage the amount of calories he's consuming, and he would lose weight if he.
I think
like
he should just go stay at your house, Art. That's a reality show. That's a reality show that I would watch.
It'd be like, Art, have you seen Diamond Dallas Page did this for Jake the Snake Roberts, where he moved him into his house and kind of nursed Jake back to health.
That's what FPS Russia did for Wings of Redemption back in the day.
That's right. That's right. Yep.
And Wings lost I think
he did.
Don't quote me. I think he lost 27 pounds while he was there.
He did.
Hey, that's not
and then
nothing.
he quit. Yeah, that's the thing. Everyone always claims about thyroid problems, this and that. And some people
it's total bullshit.
Some people are predisposed to be a little fatter naturally, but if you are in a calorie deficit, you lose weight
like that. It doesn't make you obese like that. Like when you have an overactive thyroid, you're gonna have a tendency to be a little thinner. But that's not saying that your metabolism is a little faster. If you have an underactive thyroid, then your metabolism is a little slower. But that doesn't give you the get out of jail free card to be morbidly obese.
No, it's just a little harder to maintain a lower weight. I have to watch it every single day.
So you just cut out sodas, that kind of stuff? Like, what are you up to?
You cut out, you cut out any caloric drinks. So you only drink water and any zero-calorie beverages. You could drink Diet Coke and stuff, I
wonder if Tang's got any calories.
What?
Tang is 0 calorie, isn't it?
Tang. Have you had Tang?
Maybe. I don't know. Maybe they make a 0-calorie Tang.
Tang.
Yeah, so anything that's like 0-calorie drinks, you just drink that, and then you eat a bunch of high-fiber, high-protein foods, lots of lean meats, protein powders, fruits and vegetables, 0-calorie syrups, low-fat condiments like, mustard and hot sauce. You cut out like mayonnaise and things like that, and then you just put all the calories you consume, you weigh it, and then you put it in a calorie counter app, and then you know how many calories you could eat to be in a caloric deficit, and you just keep on doing that, and eventually you lose the weight.
It melts off pretty quickly.
Did you hear what
it's science.
The Penn Jillette's crazy diet that he went on?
Oh, yeah, he ate potatoes for 2 weeks.
It was nothing but potatoes every day. I don't even know if he would if they were baked or cooked or what. I don't remember now.
I think he was able to make them. I can't believe I'm tapping into a video I saw years ago. I believe he was able to make the potatoes any way he wanted, but he couldn't add anything to them. And that's not healthy per se, and that's not something that anyone should do to lose weight. But it will put you it will put you in a mindset of understanding that your body does not need greasy fast foods. It will recalibrate it to the point where after you only eat potatoes for 2 weeks, a strawberry is going to taste amazing. Some corn is going to taste great. You don't need to drench it in sugar and butter for it to taste well. And I think that is useful. I've learned that when I make pancakes, I don't need to put chocolate chips in the pancakes. When I'm eating corn on the cob, I don't need to dump a ton of butter on it for it to taste good. You kind of learn to appreciate foods without a ton of fat and sugar put into them.
I think pandemic really, really fucked me in a lot of ways, because it was like, before 2019, I mean, I weighed 125 pounds. I don't weigh that anymore because it really, and it's like, it's hard because it's just like, I know what to do. I know what I should do. I've just been too lazy, and I really need to stop that, because this is just not good. Because the older you get too, your metabolism slows down. I'm 31 now. I don't have the metabolism like I did when I was like 25. So I found that to be a little bit harder as well. Like, oh shit, this is not as easy as it used to be. So you know,
So I've always been
it's a lifestyle change, and you have to come to terms with it like as you start, you know.
I've always been like a big dude. Like I couldn't imagine myself as a little dude. I don't know what that would feel like. So I've always been, since high school, I was about 280. You know, I'm just
how
a
tall
big,
are you? You're tall though, aren't you?
Yeah.
How tall are you?
Over 6.
Okay, yeah, I'm 6'4". So I was 238 at my heaviest, and now I am at like 188. So it's one of those things where
I couldn't imagine losing that 100 pounds. Like what that would feel like. I could just,
ladies, Art's got the arms, y'all. So
I could go back to doing
know.
cartwheels again. I tried to do a cartwheel like 3-4 years ago. I used to be able to do them like no problem in high school. I could do cartwheels. I could even do a full split, like straight down. Could not do it. I tried to do the cartwheel and I flopped the wrong way and was like, oh, I'm old now. This isn't working.
Yeah,
I was probably 32 at the time, so that feels right.
It's a matter of, luckily, new research I've seen suggests that your metabolism actually doesn't slow down with age. You're just not moving as much when you get older. And that kind of accounts for it, because it sounds crazy. Like 50 calories seems like nothing, but a 50 calorie surplus over the course of an entire year, that turns into you gaining a lot of weight. And it's so slow that you don't even notice it.
Yeah.
I mean, if you're not paying
it's
attention.
a gradual.
Boiling a frog.
Another big problem with is like, you know, pandemic. In around that time, like right before pandemic, I switched from working 12, 16, you know, hour hospital shifts to something way more slower paced that ended up not being able to function for the first couple months during lockdown because it was non-necessity medical procedures. So I went from running around on a hospital floor like popping like all the time and then gyms closed, and it's just like I have every excuse not to do what I was doing before.
Yeah.
So it sucks, but you know, I will get on it one of these days.
It would be nice
like,
to find the motivation for it. Like a friend of the show, Dick, had a contest for, I think it was called the Fat Fuck Contest. And I was like, oh yeah, I'm going to get in on this. I'm going to absolutely destroy everybody.
Yeah.
So one of the guys I played D&D for, he was a personal trainer. He was like, yeah, this is what you need to eat. This is what you need to do. And about 3 days in, it just all slid away. I was like, I'm tired. I'm just going to sleep. Not even going to participate.
How come Vito didn't do it? I'm sorry, Vito. I'm not trying to trash Vito.
I can tell you why Vito didn't do it, because it's Vito. Vito screwed Vito.
Yeah.
Just like Charles screwed Charles. I could have became a badass. I could have been like Art, Mr. 180 over here.
Well, I'm working on 180. I'm at 188. These last 10 pounds are really tough for me. And honestly, it's just vanity at this point.
You actually don't, like, as far as like losing, like you don't need to lose like anything.
No, I don't have to lose anything.
Understand.
This extra 10 pounds is just to get the six pack to be defined. Like right now, I can kind of see the six pack.
But don't you gain muscle weight though?
I have been gaining muscle weight, but the abs, it really comes down to you have to get your body fat percentage down low enough where they're visible. And I'm probably at, 15% right now. And you really want to get yourself down to maybe 12%.
It's going to get to a point where we're in the middle of these videos, Art's just going to pop his shirt off. Like Shatner on the old Star Treks.
Just wear soaking wet shirts like in your videos.
You got to take it off the way that strippers do, where
why do you think
grab
I
the bottom and roll up?
With the light over, like with the light on, you're trying to get the definition. I see what you're doing, Art.
Oh no, I've been doing the flashlight thing because when I'm finally at the ideal weight where the six pack is in, I'm going to make a video about the weight loss transformation. It's going to be like a reveal. That's kind of
that'd be funny.
It's like pretty big. I think that's the reason why it's like I haven't really done anything on camera for a while, just because I'm not like my last it just like I sat there and I was like, I'm not doing this on camera.
So I started wearing the mask just because I look like a ghoul. I look like just a gremlin-y ghoul.
I've never seen I don't know what he looks like, Art. You won't show me what he looks like.
No.
True.
Not
never
no way, not no how. Just picture Gollum, and that's not that far off from what I look like.
Gollum's after skinny though.
Been warped in the face. Well, it's a bigger Gollum.
Okay, gotcha. Like
it's a bigger Gollum.
Yeah, it's a yeah.
Oh my god.
More of a troll, if you will. I've been called a troll before.
I just yeah, like it's so I think people online and I hate to say it, guys get it pretty hard too if guys like gain weight, but like if like a female creator gains weight, it's like
people are brutal. The women are
people
brutal.
say whatever they
too.
can. Yeah, people say whatever they can to get a rise out of you. I know they probably just know for women it will hit them harder than it will for men, so that's what they go after more.
Yep.
And the comments will always get that ass too. They always go for the throat, no matter what it is. Like if you've got one button that's unbuttoned on a shirt, they're like, "Oh, look at this unbuttoned button."
Couldn't
button your shirt all the way, Art.
Tidy boy, you.
That poster back there on the walls looking a little loose. Wonder what's going on there.
Oh no, I just get like immediately like I get like the forehead, like your forehead's really big. Your smile kind of creeps me out. That's why I don't miss Easy Peasy.
Those are
on
Jen's trademarks.
I don't.
Jen has the
Easy-
trademark big smile. That's her trademark.
I don't miss Easy Peasy on Twitter because he used to like message me like every other week and be like, I just really like want to punch you in your face. It was just constant. He would always message me. He's like, "Stop!"
God, I love Easy.
He would message me and be like, "Stop fucking smiling. I want to punch you in your fucking face.
Oh,
you
God.
have no idea." Yeah,
We got on
I don't
panel
miss
shows
him
a couple of times. I think some of the hardest laughing I've ever done was with Easy. Like just a fun dude.
I think that was just his way of flirting. Like, you know, if
like
I'm
that
being
violent
honest,
flirting.
why would you go out of your way just to tell me that? Like, come on.
I bet
now.
Art gets weirdos in his DMs. Like I'm always afraid to DM people.
Okay, Art, what's the weirdest like DM or like in-person interaction that you've ever had with somebody?
Hey, you're the gamer from Mars.
I have closed DMs, so I don't have to deal with that. I once opened them
Same.
up for a day, and people just started spamming me memes, and it was just, I'm not dealing with this.
Exactly.
As for real life, most people I've met have been fine. You know, some people are shyer than others in person. You know, they're not used to meeting other YouTubers and stuff. They're used to communicating.
There's a
over
lot
computer.
of that.
Yeah. As for really crazy stories of me meeting people in real life, I don't know. It's been mostly positive. I have a couple, but there's stuff that I don't like, you know, sharing stories about, you know, YouTubers that I've met in real life and what they've told me.
Oh no, they don't have to be. They don't have to be YouTubers.
Oh, just like random people?
They can be
who
random
walked
people.
up to you on the street? Like I'm picturing some.
Oh no, I have a
weirdo.
million of those weird YouTuber interactions, and there's one that I want to talk about, but I'm never going to talk about it publicly because it made me physically cringe and want to crawl under a rock for this person. But I'll tell you when we're done recording.
Okay. Actually,
Yes,
I got a
as
good
the
one. I got a good
second
one for
we're
you.
done.
So I once was at the mall, and this guy comes up to me, or was it at the mall or the grocery store? Anyway, I was out in public shopping somewhere, and this person comes up to me, and he's like, "Hey, Gamer from Mars, did you hear Boogie2988 died?" And he caught me so off guard, and I was like, "Wait, what? Really?" And then he's like, "Nah, but he's gonna die one of these days," and then he just walks off.
That's so
That's
fucking
weird. That's a sicko. That's what that is. That's not weird. That's a sicko. Like you can't just walk up.
Hey, that guy online that you know, he's dead. Okay,
like-
bye.
Just the fact I don't know this person, he refers to me as, "Hey, the Gamer from Mars," and then he goes off and tells me someone that I know died. And it's
So
just like, it caught me
weird.
so off guard.
Like even
I
if
think-
I'm mad at somebody, but it's somebody I know, and I hear that they're dead, I'm like, oh man. Like it's
Yeah.
weird news to get,
Yeah.
and to get it that way would be even weirder.
It's a
Yeah, but
bummer.
Boogie didn't actually die, so I guess
Yeah, not
Yeah.
yet.
it was
gonna.
well, everyone is, but
So, like, how often do you get recognized when you're out and about?
it hasn't been much since COVID, just because I don't know, masks and people not going out as much. But I recently just got recognized for the first time in quite a while. I was at GameStop. I think it was
Of
like I saw a
course.
t-shirt
Yeah,
there
that'd
that I was
be
buying,
a spot.
and
that feels.
the guy at the register says, "Hey, you look like this YouTuber," and I said, "That's because I am that YouTuber." And he's like, "Oh yeah, I know your voice, man. You're the Gamer from Mars. I just watched the Chris Chan documentary. It's real good." So that made my day. That was a good interaction.
You should just do that when somebody says you're a YouTuber. You should just look at them and do like the maybe.
Or you could say,
That would work, too.
"I'm not that guy. Whatever happened to that guy?"
What happened, man? I haven't done a what happened to video in a long time.
Whatever
You're not gonna
happened
do
to
a
those
What about a
happened videos?
well-researched rise and fall?
I always wanted for April Fool's one year for you and Wavy to do the whatever happened to the other one, just as a goof, just to see if people are paying attention.
That sounds more sus than a character from Among Us. I'm sorry, that meme is
Jenna.
never going to
Internet
fucking
Jay.
die.
Yeah, that's
Old Among Us.
the rise and fall genre. I just abandoned that because everyone else starts spamming out those videos, and whenever
Well, it
that
feels like
happens,
they're
it feels like
they're
you want to talk about a genre that fell. It
They're
rose and it
so-
fell.
they really, really fell. Those really fell off because you know
you
what?
run out of
At this-
people.
yeah, you run out of people, and then it's just like Sunny V2 is pretty good, like June the King's pretty good, but at the same time, what don't we already know about like this situation? We haven't had anything really like insane, I think, for the last like couple of years because of COVID. So it's just kind of like, what else is there right now? There's nothing really that huge right now going on that
Sunny-
that we haven't heard.
Sunny V2, he is more of just general, I'm going to make videos about internet's people, and just it doesn't really matter. It's not necessarily rise and fall content. It's just interesting stories.
The information.
And June the King, it's well edited, well researched documentaries about individuals.
He's very literal. That's why I like to watch. June the King reminds me of like the Jim Can't Swim of like YouTube stuff. Like he has like that tone where it's just extremely analytical and like to the point, that's what June the King reminds me of. So
yeah, but these other rise and fall channels where it's like, let's pull up their Wikipedia page and slap together a 10-minute script.
I think Turkey Tom said it. It's like those are like the behind the meme of like internet history, and he's right.
Yeah, I mean they ruined the genre in a sense, but that's the thing. I've been through the rise and fall of many YouTube genres. I've jumped from content to content, and nowadays,
you're adapting.
Yeah, and nowadays you look at my channel, you can't even describe what genre my videos are. It's not gaming. It's not internet
YouTube
culture.
ass YouTube.
I don't think anybody that like started out as gaming is really doing gaming anymore. I think everybody has kind of like even strayed from that. I mean, even look at like Vsauce 2. They started doing math that's in conjunction with
crime.
in conjunction with true crime. That's how they've transitioned. Like,
but they're still doing. They've got the TikTok stuff too, Jen.
Well, those do really well, but as far as like the long form content, they've completely like switched over, to like true crime because if you're gonna be on this platform for a long time, you got to find ways to adapt. You can't be doing the same old shit over and over again.
So I don't even know if it's adapting. It feels like evolving. Like you're sort of morphing and changing. And
it's kind of the same thing. Like you have to adapt to the climate.
If you're not going to change, if you're not going to react, if you're not going to, adapt, like what are you doing? Like you can't just be the same thing forever.
You'll die off. That's it.
Yeah.
Who's a good example of that, Art, that's just done the same shit and is dying off? There's a lot of that.
That's a good question. I don't want to just randomly blurt out somebody. There's a lot of channels that have just stuck to their guns, and they may not be as big as they used to in a lot of cases, but they still do pretty good for themselves and make a good living, and they're content with it. The Needle Drop, Anthony Fantano, say what you want about his Twitter takes, but whenever there's a Kendrick album, it gets over 1 million views on his channel. He is
People
want to
know what
critic.
he has to say about that stuff. Yeah.
Yeah,
they'll watch him listen to the song.
Yeah, Red Letter Media with their content gets steady views. Angry Video Game Nerd.
That's actually really true. Yeah,
there's a lot of people where everyone likes to talk about, YouTubers die off. It doesn't last forever. But there are a decent amount of people that have been doing this for a decade, myself included, who I pivot my content still. I'm still hungry. But there's a lot of people that are like, listen, we do what we do. We have our audience. We may not be at the cutting edge that we used to, but we could support our family on this. We could just come into work, do our thing. People still enjoy it. We get a couple 100,000 views a video. We make a good living for ourselves. And we could probably do this for the next 20 years.
Yeah.
That's what I like about Art is Art's hungry. Like he said, like you could tell, if you look in this guy's eyes, you see he's a hustler.
He's a businessman.
Yeah, not just a hustler. He's moved past the term hustler. Businessman now. It's a totally different thing.
He grew up and knew what he wanted to do to keep it going and take that like step
to
up.
entertain
It's not just the
people
entertainment, it's also
level.
on the business side. It's also on the business side, and that's the smartest route that you can go.
Well, entertainment is a business.
You did it.
Like show business.
Yeah, it is. You're right.
It's America's #1 export. It's the one thing that we export that other countries just don't do as good as we do.
You mean you're telling me Kazakhstan like TV is not doing as well? Come on, Charles.
Listen, I don't care.
That's so based of you to say that.
You know, I don't see movies as good as there's not a lot of King Kongs versus Godzillas coming out from other countries these days.
Oh, why not?
Because they just don't make good movies anymore.
Oh boy. Like, so yeah, I mean, it's just
they don't make Theodore Rexes anymore.
Jeez, that's what I love, those weird movies from the past that have just made their rounds on the angry reviewer circuit on the internet.
Yeah, yep.
And like that's the only reason anyone knows about them is because the nostalgia
I caught it on
critic
TV.
and
I caught
John
that movie on TV and was just fascinated by just the disaster of it. And that's just one of those movies that just baffles me to even consider. Like, how did anyone ever think this was going to work? The amount of money they put in, like it just.
Tammy and the T-Rex. What was the one with Whoopi Goldberg? Theodore Rex.
Theodore Rex was hers.
We literally just talked about that like 2 weeks ago on the podcast.
Like it seems like you were saying. There's
I actually have an answer for that one. That right after Jurassic Park came out, anything about dinosaurs was approved by Hollywood, and it got made.
They were chasing the trends.
These dinosaurs look like the dinosaurs from the Dinosaur ABC TV show too. So those were all doing like super well at that time.
Mm-hmm. Dinosaurs were hot. Remember Power Rangers? Like that was dinosaurs.
Dude, Power Rangers was my shit back in the day. Let's go.
I was always a Ninja Turtle kid. Ninja Turtles. You guys are a little
Ninja Turtles
younger.
was slightly before my time. Like Power Rangers was when I was probably like
to see,
I don't know, like 4 years
old. To see Ninja
old.
Turtles fall off. You want to talk about and there's like watching the ones where they have the red sky in the cartoons. Like there's a feeling like even as a little kid I was like, this isn't as good as it used to be. They've changed. They've burned it. They've burned the franchise. Everybody who watched Ninja Turtles 3 knows that's. You want to talk about a movie that's just been brought through the ringer from like these review channels, like Ninja Turtles 3's poof, burn the franchise. And it's, that's 25 years ago at this point. I was like, that still hurts. Like that still bothers me that they burned this franchise. What were they thinking? Some real weird sickos out there, man.
Oh, you said the thing.
Oh.
I like it. But who do you think is who do you think's like the next big thing?
Dojangles?
No, she doesn't upload enough.
Yeah, if she uploaded more.
YouTuber.
Yeah, who do you think is gonna who do you see really popping off in the next like year or two?
That's a good question. I think a lot of TikTokers. I think the next big YouTuber is going to be a TikToker that realizes that the money's just there's viewers on TikTok, but the money's not there.
Right.
And then they'll transition over to making some YouTube stuff and come up with some new ideas to change the game on more of the general audience side of things. As for the smaller end people, I'm trying to think if there's any channels that come to mind. Yeah, I'm really not sure. I think YouTube's at a point now, especially with people being able to get sponsored messages for their videos, and there's more revenue streams in terms of creating your own product, that you're going to see a lot more YouTubers that are just able to steadily continue to make content for years. And it's not just going to be this boom bust cycle of YouTuber gets big, blows up, gets a ton of money, ton of views, and then just drops off and you've never heard of them ever since.
Yeah.
I think those days are not going to be as noticeable. Like this concept that, YouTube not going to last forever. You're going to have to get a real job at some point. Prepare. Of course, everyone should save. I agree with that sentiment. Mm-hmm. But this idea that you can't manage to do a YouTube video content for long term, I don't believe that that's the case anymore. I think that there's more than enough opportunities to just continue going.
Do you think audiences will continue to like run hot and cold on people? Because there's some guys who have gotten really big, who people loved, was a beloved guy, and then just everybody hates him now. Everybody's turned on him. They still have a certain amount of fans, so they can still kind of cling to what they were doing, but it ain't as like they're really like squeezing blood from an orange.
I think I think no matter who it is, everybody will retain some sort of fan base no matter what they did.
Yeah.
Depends. With that was a thing back in the day with YouTube. There was a time when people were just willing to put up with content that wasn't very entertaining. And I'm not saying my content's the greatest thing ever or other people's content on YouTube nowadays is the best stuff ever made. But back in 2013, these Let's Play channels that blew up playing Minecraft, if you look at 2013 Minecraft videos versus what Dream does or something, the Dream stuff is just so much better. And all those Let's Players from that time, if they didn't evolve, a lot of them, they just quit because they were only getting a couple thousand views a video, even though they have millions of subscribers. So back in the day, yeah, people did not maintain any audience whatsoever. But now there's a certain level of quality that's needed to maintain interest. And if you're there, there's no reason why at your height you were getting 1 million views a video. Now you're at 200,000. Well, 200,000 views a video. Hey, you could make a pretty good living for yourself.
There's nothing to sneeze at. Absolutely not.
That's not nothing. Because the thought that I've always heard is the Juggalo theory. You want 1,000 people who absolutely love you and will buy anything that you put your logo and your name on, and that those are your people, and that's who you're really playing to. Yeah.
You don't have to be number one. Sometimes number two is ideal because then number one gets all the scrutiny and you kind of could just stay on the sidelines.
Yeah.
Did you ever hear how IGN became number one?
It's so much better to stay kind of like under the radar because you're going to get less like picked apart and less scrutinized. If you're just kind of like keeping your head down and you're just consistent and you're doing your thing and you're staying in your lane, I think that's like the best way to go.
That's what I do. I don't
talk
about
me
my
how
personal life or
IGN
anything.
became the number one gaming website. They started buying up people and eventually bought up GameSpy, who was the number 3. Because IGN was number 2, GameSpot was number 1. And so then with GameSpy, and then because GameSpy was hooked in with all these other gaming things, it was like an online service. So they were able to parlay that and become number 1. And just crush competition with that.
I have to ask a question. Who still goes on those gaming news sites?
Oh, I have no idea.
No, who exactly? That's what I want to know. Who is actually following fucking IGN on Twitter? Like,
not me.
Or just going on the website. I remember in 2009 when there was not as much content on the internet, that was a thing. But I don't know how game journalism is even a profitable thing other than independent journalists.
Yeah, by like 2013, I could tell like YouTubers are eating our lunch. We got to come up with something else, boys. This ain't working.
Well, yeah, since about 2011, if there's like a new game that's come out that I'm not sure that I want to go buy it, I'll go fucking look it up on YouTube and I'll make that decision for myself. I'm not going to sit there and go, you know what? I wonder what IGN has to say.
I find myself sometimes, there'll be like a weird indie game, like a Warhammer thing. I'll go and type in, what the fuck is Warhammer? And then I go, oh shit, he's dead. And go, oh man. I think about Total Biscuit and go, oh shit. Because say what you will about the guy, but I like that guy's videos. I was like, oh, he's going to tell me about the Warhammer thing. And it always bums me out.
You just made it dark, Charles. What the hell?
It's the same way with me with Etika. Whenever there's a Smash Bros. Reveal, it's just I get sad.
Yeah, that's true. Because you waited for his like reaction. You know,
there's a tape just as good as a reveal.
Yeah.
There's a tape of I think they call themselves the Joy-Con Boys. Of them, like, I guess you call it like a memorial or something like that, like a funeral or memorial, where they've got all these candles and everything laid out, and they've got their little Joy-Cons laid out on the guy, like a little picture of him, and they all start doing their chant of the Joy-Con Boys. And it just broke my heart to see them hurting like that.
Yeah.
And that video has hung with me, like, that's been, what, 4 or 5 years now, at least?
Oh, no, that's been maybe
3 years.
like 3
3
years.
years?
Yeah.
Oh, man.
2019.
Like the pandemic has, the pandemic has changed everyone's perception of time.
Yeah.
Time went by really slow, but it went by really fast at the same time.
Yeah, it's
not
weird.
as much. It's slow, but then nothing really happened for large swaths of it. So you look back and it just kind of seems like a gap and you just jump back to before.
It's weird because you would have thought that so much stuff on the internet would have happened while everybody was home, but it didn't. Like, it died off. It was really strange like that.
We were already past the golden age of the stuff after the apocalypse. That really put a damper on.
Bring us back to 2016, please.
So great.
That was.
I mean,
those
we
were
could,
the heydays. Yeah.
Everything changes. Everything evolves. The golden age of comics was ended with the silver age and the Comics Code Authority. Like that changed the way comic books had to be made. They had to adapt. So they didn't, instead of having horror comics and stuff like that, they transitioned to do more superheroes. What I think is funny is
everybody trying to kind of recreate 2016. I think more like in the drama sphere, but everything back in those days, it wasn't, the drama that was happening wasn't as serious. It was more gossipy. But now we've just like upped the ante where everybody's a P word. And like there's
people were back then, people just got away with it more in like 2015, 2016.
Was like when I think it started with like Basherverse was like the first.
Oh geez, let's
like super like when the big like super P word stuff happened. I think that's kind of like the domino effect that ended up happening. But but when we had like the Leafy versus Keem versus Grade, and then Pyro came into it, and then H3, people have tried to kind of recreate that drama, but unfortunately, that's past. Like nothing will ever be like that ever again.
Yeah,
that's what it was fun, and it never will be like that again ever.
I bet you there was a guy in the 1930s who's pissed off, going, "Man, movies were so much better when they were silent. What's all these like talking?
We just sound
like, why
old
are they putting
right
color
now?
in movies? Like
okay, I'm going
like,
to
guys
say,
that hate color movies.
I'll be honest. I don't think that that's actually an apt comparison in this case, because the website was literally throttled towards people that were making anything that was slightly pushing the boundaries.
Yeah.
And then in terms of monetization,
killing.
Leafy was making a killing. Content Cop was king. Drama Alert was wrecking havoc on the world. It was just so chaotic that it can't be recreated. I've said this time and time again. Trump being elected president, a lot of people in power were like, "Oh shoot, this internet thing is too powerful. This is too strong. We got to put some restrictions on this." And that's when the apocalypse and all the censorship stuff really started going down.
Yeah, you're right.
Oh, interesting. I love now my crank hat is on. Now I'm putting on the tinfoil hat. I can see exactly what you're really saying.
I said what I'm really saying. There was no hidden meaning to that. It really
Understood,
was.
It really
loud
was.
and clear,
that
brother.
I remember.
I remember when Trump got elected that night. I was like, "Holy crap! The internet did it."
Yeah.
I started shouting like JR.
I remember iDubbbz.
God,
I remember
he's done it.
iDubbbz.
Good God.
I remember iDubbbz Twitter video where he was like, "Suck it, he is president." Like it was a big meme, but I remember people putting out Twitter videos. I remember that night. That was chaos. That was absolute fucking chaos.
The Hillary Clinton presidential room where had the glass ceiling and all the women were just crying in there. It was oh man.
I mean, like, come on. We also had we had Casey Neistat telling everybody that he's voting for Hillary. And then that's when Pyro did his face reveal. Hillary Clit. I'm voting for Hillary Clit. I mean, there was so much stuff that went on during that time that was just. It's a golden age we'll never see ever again.
Yeah, just everything was booming. I mean, but of course, not everything was perfect at that time, and it was only 5 or 6 years ago. We'll have to wait and see. I'm a believer in the idea that things just come in cycles. I think everyone agrees with that, but people get so caught up in their agenda that they think like, no, we're going to win and we're going to take everything over. But no, one person takes over with one set of ideals of valuing free speech, then it's like, oh, this went too far. Let's censor things. Then the censorship goes too far. And then it's like, okay, we need to allow free speech again. I think we're still in the pro censorship kind of side of that right now. And
so that's what
give a couple more years and we'll be back.
So let me ask you this, and we'll end with this. How do you think the whole Keem H3 saga is going to end? If you had to predict it, what is your prediction?
I don't think it's going to end. I think that Ethan's going to keep on trying to take down Keem until. I don't think Keemstar is going to get deplatformed because he's smart enough.
I think Ethan
has a higher chance of getting his channel deleted than Keemstar is. Keemstar does not do anything anymore. Keemstar keeps
Yeah,
it
you're right.
really clean. I go on his Twitter account and he's just sitting there trying to get his arcade cabinets operational.
Yeah.
And
He wants
and
to
he's
sing
golfing
so bad.
and he's just doing some old man stuff and he's giving out like life advice.
he's dating some 20-year-old girl or something, but she's above age. Like, I don't
see
good
the
for
big
him.
deal. He's living his life. I think he's definitely matured. He's kind of popping up on people. Like, he's taken a lot of the younger people and the smaller people under his wing, and he's kind of had a daddy up on them. And he's not being the provocateur that we used to see. But Ethan, I feel like he's a big bitter ball now of just bitterness. And that's eating him alive. And his bitterness
grudge
is
will
going
do that to
to
somebody.
end him. It's going to end his channel. That's what I think. Because he's much, much closer. Like, doesn't he have strikes? Like,
Yeah, I know YouTube, no doubt, has been watching his content and has probably been giving him a couple breaks on a few of those videos
he has
to
at
not give him a
least
strike.
one standing strike, doesn't he?
Well, he just called for violence. What, like a month ago?
Yeah.
It was a joke, though. See,
it was a joke, but he would be up somebody's ass if it were on the other side of the coin.
Yeah, that's my biggest thing.
It was a joke, but it didn't feel like a joke. And I've joked pretty hard. You don't joke about that kind of thing.
It's not about the joke. It's about if Keemstar said something like what he said, Ethan would be calling for channel termination, him to be banned on every single platform. But that's
H3
why
would
I
have
don't.
been calling for that to happen to Keemstar's house. Is what? How
I mean,
bad it would have gone.
H3 is the reason why G Fuel Cotton Candy is now Ninja.
Yeah, well,
I really thought Keemstar owned G Fuel. That's how tight Keemstar and G Fuel were branded together.
Well, it wasn't like the fact that G Fuel said no, fuck off. Keem was basically like, yeah, I get it. Like, I understand. It wasn't like a bad breakup, but it stemmed from the May of 2020 nuclear fallout that was like the back and forth.
Yeah,
Good
so
stuff.
Keemstar is smart enough of a businessman to just pivot and change his content. And if he can't be outrageous anymore, he won't be outrageous. He likes being outrageous, but if it's going to mean his channel gets terminated, he's not going to do it. Ethan Klein, man, I really wish the guy the best, but he has to stop thinking about Keemstar. It's not healthy.
Yeah.
I've learned that long ago that even if you don't like somebody, holding a grudge against them, it's just useless. If someone's a bad person, and you think that and you really believe it, they'll eventually, karma will take effect in some sort of way.
Yeah, karma's
and you don't have
real,
to be involved.
man.
Yeah, you don't have to be involved in it. They're going to piss off the wrong person one of these days, and they'll face consequences for their actions. You don't have to be the one that does it.
Yeah. And sometimes it's like I can see how people get blinded by some of this stuff, as well. And then there's always going to be a whole community of people that are going to be against a whole other community of people. And people will pull stuff out of their ass that makes like no sense. And it comes from the communities, and it comes from, even if a creator can do the whole disclaimer, like don't harass anybody, people are still going to do it because they think that they're helping like their favorite creators. Like, people don't understand the power somebody's community could have. And I think that in turn always kind of makes things worse. So, I mean, if anybody's ever been on the receiving end of somebody's community hate, it's brutal. Like, it's really, really awful. So when you have like both these titans, like Keem, and you have H3, like it's going to be bloody, and it's been bloody. And yeah, and Keem kind of like has let it go, is at least publicly in a lot of ways. But like Ethan, it's like every other word out of his mouth, and it's eating him alive. And that's that.
It's no way to live. You can't let hate be what you live for.
Yeah.
It goes back to that lolcow catch-22, though. If Ethan wasn't involved in drama and trying to expose people nonstop, he would no longer be getting 1 million views per podcast. But if he got 500,000 views per podcast, that's more than enough people. You don't
Nothing
need
to sneeze at. Go back to doing what you liked to do when people liked to watch you. Because I don't know who his new audience is. but I don't
Since
think
the heel turn.
I don't think it's going to be. I don't think it's the same. I don't think I know anybody that enjoyed H3 back in the day that enjoys it now. I and I'm not saying that to be like, well, nobody does. I personally do not know anybody that still enjoys H3 content that enjoyed it back in the day to bring him to what he bred. Yeah, I mean, it's just. So what's up next on the docket for you, Art? I know you always got something cooking.
Yeah, I have some stuff, but nothing to be announced just yet because I'm fiddling with a bunch of ideas, and nowadays my job isn't really making it myself, but assembling a team and a process to have it made a lot of the time, if that makes sense.
Yeah,
so
absolutely.
So because of that, I can't just say, oh, I'm working on this project, because it's more of, oh, I have these 5 ideas that I'm talking to people about, and we'll see which one I could, get people excited about and get people that I could trust to, do it for me while I oversee it. So yeah, that's where I'm at. I have a lot of big things planned. It's just a matter of building out my team a bit more. And I keep on saying this, but eventually it will be true. I want to get the bigger projects and, the videos out a little faster than they currently are.
I mean, that's the dream, right? To have the team. To have the A team, the dudes. If you had 5 dudes,
this is
they
the
were all
person.
hard
This
hitters.
is the person. Like if you're like a young guy starting on this is who you should strive to be. This is the kind of person you should strive to be. Absolutely.
One step at a time. You got to write and edit your videos yourself at first, but
pay your dues. You got to pay.
You have to
dues.
pay your dues. I've seen people that try to like source out the editing right from the very beginning, and it's like, no, you need to learn how to edit yourself so you'll be able to tell other people how to edit your stuff. Otherwise,
you
you
just
just kind
language
of
for it.
You can't rely on somebody else because you're never going to be happy with your product if you don't already know how to do it yourself. I feel you on that. I mean, I outsourced early only because of time, but I learned how to do it myself. I knew what I wanted. I knew how I wanted it. And I played around with a couple of editors, and now the person that I just recently, I think this is probably like the smoothest and the happiest I've been with it. And it's also like, you have to know what you want, and you don't have to like, I don't think I would ever outsource for like writing. But then again, I don't do this often enough, but I don't think I would ever do that because I would feel weird about it just not sounding like me. Because I feel like most of the YouTubers
ship.
Most
at
of the YouTubers
is
that
the ship yours?
Yeah, at most YouTubers that I watch, you can tell who you're watching. Like if it's somebody that they're more personality driven,
it's harder to outsource the writing.
See, I feel like the best writers know how
person.
to write for somebody's voice.
Yes,
that's the best writing. Is being able to write, or being able to figure out, all right, I've got this crazy story. Who can I send this to that's going to help them, that they can do something with this?
Yeah.
That's a real skill that people can develop.
Mm-hmm. I agree.
Yeah.
There's a lot of skills people can develop.
It's that old story that I've heard a couple times where a guy goes into the mechanic because his car's not working. He hits a hammer down and he says, okay, it's working now. That'll be $200. And it's like, $200? You just hit a hammer once. And the guy's like, yeah, it was $10 to hit the hammer. It was $190 for me to know where to hit the hammer. I think that's that's where I'm at right now. I know what videos will get views, how to make a good title and thumbnail, make it catchy, grab people's attention, know where to pivot my channel, come up with new ideas. I have hundreds of ideas for videos and documentaries and new series and stuff like that. It's all about finding people that are able to hit that hammer for me, do the heavy lifting in a lot of senses of writing and editing stuff and managing things and keeping it organized behind the scenes, so I could just focus on doing what what I'm best at and where my time is best served.
That's like, seriously, damn.
I can't put Art over enough.
That's
man.
literally
so
like
good.
the best
he don't
advice
miss.
anybody like.
Even in the heat of battle, he don't miss. In the heat of controversy,
because there's a lot of kids up and coming, and they don't realize, and even if they're doing okay now, they're not going to have the longevity because of some of these key fundamental things. Like it's just,
you get lucky with one video idea and you're able to run with it for a while. That's good, but having your brain be at a point where you just kind of I don't want to say like I'm in the Matrix. It's like, that sounds really corny, but I'm so obsessed with YouTube and I've been so absorbed into it since I was a little kid. I could just see stuff and say, that will get views, that won't. Works, this doesn't. This is how to structure a video. This is how you're going to grab their attention. This is the part of the story that is really going to be attention getting. And that's really where my time is best served. So when
you
people
can
say,
see the code, you know how the game is played.
yes.
And once you understand how the pieces of the game are put together and how it's played, you're playing at a whole different level.
Yeah, I like to think that's where I'm at. It's just now I'm kind of at the point where I have to figure out how to stay organized and have people that I could trust in my corner that could help my vision become a reality.
That's the most important part. Is like, if anybody thinks that they can do this on their own, as far as like growing and expanding,
no,
you're gonna have to have people that you can trust. You're gonna have to have people that are like-minded. You got to get off the island. You can't stay on the island, but you got to find the people that aren't gonna dick you around, because there's a lot of people on here that are gonna dick you around, and sometimes you don't know until you know, But
there's a lot of like back scratching that goes on. It's like, oh hey, I've got this for you. Oh hey, here's this thing for you. This will help you. Ah, what a pal. Here's something else I've got for you. And it's a lot of making connections and figuring out who can help you, who's a joker, who's actually serious, who wants to commit to something.
Yeah.
Finding people who don't cut corners. That's the hardest thing I've had. There's that thing where I want the job to be finished as close to my liking as possible, so I don't have to sit there and make the changes myself.
Yeah, that's why I hired you. Exactly. This is why I hired you.
And it's not just that. Sometimes I say, hey, I'd pay you twice as much if you put in that extra 10% of work at the very end to really perfect it, so I don't have to go back in and do that 10% myself.
Yeah, agreed. Absolutely.
But that's where I'm at. It's an odd place to be. My job's a lot different now than it was even a couple of years ago, and it will probably keep on changing. That's the interesting thing about I've learned about YouTube. If you keep on growing and you keep on building out, the job completely changes every year or two.
Mm-hmm.
There's always a new country, a new kingdom to conquer.
It's Game of Thrones.
You never have the whole
YouTube is
world.
Game of Thrones, and it never stops.
Well, see, I was picturing Alexander. Once he conquered the world, he just stood there and wept because there was no more world to conquer.
No, there will always be world to conquer in YouTube.
Yeah, there's always some new thing. It's like, oh, actually, just turn your head just slightly to the left.
There will always be something to conquer. It's never going to end as long as it's still going on, and there's going to be no end, and there's no end in sight to it. Like, there's always going to be something, because it's always ever changing. So you got to just keep going with it.
Yeah.
But Art,
keep hustling. Keep working.
Keep hustling. So, like, Art, thanks for coming on. This is like long time coming. You're a busy guy, and I really appreciate you.
Yeah, I appreciate
stopping
it
by
too,
to
man.
our
Art's
to
so
our
cool.
to our little
Let's just kiss Art's ass.
No, he's a busy guy. Like, he's a really busy guy. So it's like, I do appreciate it when people can actually like give us their time. So,
So good. I'm taking it easy this weekend. So
go take a nap now. Nice it's Sunday. It was great. This is a banger. One of the best ones.
Alrighty then. Well, yeah, thanks for having me, everyone.
All right. See you guys later. Bye-bye.
Bye, everybody.